Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Agversity. I'm Jackson Shelley.
I'm Owen.
This is Matt and Darilyn Hamilton.
Let's get down to business.
Hey guys, welcome back. Again, this is Matt and Darilyn Hamilton. So why don't you guys just tell us a little bit about yourselves?
You want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I'm Darilyn Hamilton. I'm the ag teacher and FFA advisor here in Taylorsville, Kentucky. These two are actually my students, and I'm very proud of them for starting this podcast and going on with their dream. I went to the University of Kentucky, and that's where I got my degree. I have a huge passion for the animal science industry, and currently I live on my husband's family farm where we raise commercial beef cattle and show lambs.
Hi, I'm Matthew Hamilton. I went to the University of Kentucky where I got a degree in agriculture economics and plant soil sciences. But as she said before, I was born and raised on a commercial cattle farm where we live today. And following that passion led me back to the University of Kentucky to work at their beef research unit.
So how did you guys get involved in agriculture?
Growing up in Taylorsville, I always felt like I was around agriculture. I had several great uncles who farmed, raised tobacco, raised horses, raised cattle, raised dairy goats, a little bit of everything. So I just kind of grew up around it. And while I was in middle school and high school, I got very involved with FFA and the 4-H. And the 4-H agent in Spencer County, and actually she's still a 4-H agent today, Molly Titchener, got me into showing sheep. And kind of showing sheep really dived in, and I led to a love of the animal science industry, livestock, and the agriculture industry. And from there, I knew when I was going into college that I wanted to go into agriculture somehow, and agriculture education just kind of fell in my lap because I get to work with youth every day and teach them about the ag industry and what they can do in the agriculture.
What got me involved in the ag industry was just growing up with it. I was raised on a beef cattle farm. We were always out on the farm. I was involved any way I could be, no matter what my capabilities were. I always wanted to be out there and wanted to feel like I had a part, I had a hand in it. And as I got older, I raised my own cattle. I worked for several different large farmers in the area, and that got me more exposure to not only just beef cattle, but crop production, tobacco production, and then that just led me into my areas of focus in college with the plant soil science and the ag economics.
Okay. So, were you both involved in FFA in high school? And if so, how has FFA changed your life for the better today?
I was very involved with FFA in high school. I was kind of one of those nerds that went in, and then I was the FFA nerd. I wanted to do everything like Lee. Lee can give you a fun fact about Spencer County FFA. He should do that on the show one time. I wasn't that nerded out. I can't give fun facts. I still can't today. But I guess my first thing that really got me set in FFA was I did the creed contest my freshman year. And I fell in love with it. I went to state with it, and I ended up making the top 4 at state. And I was like, from there on, I want to do everything I can in FFA. And I really took on the leadership side of it all, and I got to serve as a regional officer and a state officer. When I was a state officer, it kind of just, FFA is my life, and I still give back to everything I can today. When I was in college, I interned with the Kentucky FFA Foundation because I just couldn't let it go. And that's why I'm an ag teacher, and we still give money back to Kentucky FFA to help the future generations be more involved with agriculture.
I was also involved in FFA in high school, not quite as heavily as Darilyn, but I competed in various speech contests and held committee chair positions. And I'll definitely say that helped around me as an individual. It helped to polish my speech skills, and just helped me to make many connections that I still.
What kind of connection?
It helped me
big
make
connection.
It helped me make many connections that still come in handy today. And I did meet my wife at my very last state convention, so I guess you'd say that FFA did change my life for the better.
Yeah.
Better. Okay, that's
For-
good. It's good to hear.
We were from different chapters.
Wait, what chapter were you from?
Mercer.
So, do you guys plan on staying involved in agriculture for the rest of your lives, or what do you guys see yourself in the terms of like the ag industry?
I would always love, I plan on retiring from being an ag teacher, God willing. So from the career standpoint, I hope I'm always involved in the ag industry, but especially when we have kids, I really want them to show livestock, especially show sheep, because that's what I was into, and we still raise a few show lambs on the side. And I just think that the livestock industry is a wonderful way to raise children up in, because it teaches them so much responsibility at such a young age.
Obviously, I plan to stay involved in agriculture from the career aspect in one way or another. But as far as farming for ourselves, we'll just see where the road takes us. Now,
you work for the UK beef unit. As of now, do you plan on doing that for the rest of your career, or do you plan on stopping and starting your own operation, large-scale operation?
That's for now. The beef unit is a good place for me to be, but eventually I would like to branch out and maybe scale up the operation at home, and we'll just see where that takes us.
This is a question for Matt. What's your opinion on the new innovations in the agricultural industry versus the traditional methods?
Obviously, with the growing population, you have to look at production. And new innovations, new technology is just going to allow you to produce more with less, which is what everybody is having to do now with their profit margins shrinking. Land is just becoming harder to get, more expensive. All your inputs are going up, and for most people, everybody's seeing all of their income going down. So any way that we can simplify things and produce more with what we have is going to be obviously welcomed by anybody in the ag industry. Now, for me personally, I don't have a whole lot of use for new ag technologies on my farm, because a lot of that would be geared more towards your crop farmers, looking at your fertilized rates and things of that nature. But in the livestock industry, cattle specifically, we have these new tags at the beef unit. They're called cow manager tags. And basically, it's just a tag that goes in the animal's ear, and it is always retrieving data. It takes the animal's temperature. It's looking at how much they're up and down, how much they're eating, how often they're at the water. And currently we just finished up AI, and we're breeding all of our cattle. And that device takes all of their different readings, and then it shoots it into an algorithm, and it spits it back out to us and lets us know the prime window for us to breed those cows. And that just allows us to do other things instead of having to watch over the herd and make sure we know who's standing, when they were standing, know when to breed them. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for us, so we can go do other things, while this technology basically is watching the cattle, telling us when the optimal time to breed them is, so that we're not missing heats and we can just get everything bred more efficiently.
Do you think it's okay that these new technologies are, as most traditional farmers would say, putting people out of jobs, since they can do a lot of the things that farmers can also do?
Well, I think the best way to look at that, when people say it's putting people out of jobs, the majority of the people don't want to do these jobs. A lot of people, obviously, there's a movement away from the farm. You look at such a minuscule percentage of people who are actually staying on the farm and working on the farm. Therefore, you need all the help you can get, because the workforce just isn't there like it used to be in rural America, like everybody who's moved more into the suburbs.
Awesome. I love that answer. Go ahead.
So I have a question for Darilyn. I don't know if she mentioned this, but she's actually a first-year ag educator. So how about you tell us a little bit about why you decided to go into ag ed as a major?
I think one reason I decided to go into ag ed as a major is because when I was going into college, I didn't know if I did want to teach. For a while, I wanted to be a big livestock pharmaceutical rep. That was my goal. Then I switched. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer and work on the ag industry side with law stuff. So I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And ag ed is kind of one of those degree fields that is very wide open. You can do almost anything you want to do with an extension agent, ag teacher, and in the ag industry, I think one thing Matt can touch on is very blessed because he doesn't have an animal science degree at all. He works with beef cattle. So you have an ag degree, and there's plenty of connections in the ag industry. As long as you have an ag background and a degree to prove it, you can get any ag job you almost want as long as you can sell yourself the right way. And I looked at ag ed as that, and then I started really getting into my education courses and started doing a lot of observations. In Kentucky, I think, has pretty great ag teachers around the state. And I was going into it, and I loved what I was doing. Then I started student teaching. And when I student taught with Mr. Daniel Mattingly in Marion County, if he watches it, he kind of changed my life. I think I had probably one of the best student teaching experiences out there, and getting to spend that semester in Marion County with the students. And he just kind of gave me full reins of the classroom, let me the curriculum I taught, and helped me put different ideas in the FFA, and it really was just like, this is where I'm meant to be. When I drove to Marion County every morning, I was like, I want to teach ag the rest of my life because I never had a bad day.
It's awesome.
I think, Lee, you want to be an ag teacher, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Does that inspire you?
Yeah. I've had good experiences. It's nice hearing that you've had such a good experience with it, and that maybe I'll have the same.
Hopefully. But another question for Matt. So with the new legislative policies going through the U.S. government, beef prices have started to decrease dramatically. How has this affected you on personal level as a farmer, and how would you go about fixing this problem?
Well, as many people who follow the issue know, the market in China had been shut down for years. And I think it was just in 2017 when that market was reestablished. But then it wasn't too much longer after that, earlier this past year, that the tariffs occurred, and the import tariffs on U.S. beef to China really skyrocketed. I think more than doubled. And that's just goes back to simple supply and demand. Even though the Chinese was a somewhat small market for U.S. beef, it still was a multi-million-dollar market, which is still going to trickle down and affect farmers on the local level. So it goes back to the supply was there, but the demand was not so much because of the high prices that they were enduring in China and also in Canada with the same tariffs. So it trickles down. You're looking at now beef prices are much lower than they were even a year ago, and that just affects everybody in the beef industry because your cattle just aren't worth what they once were, but you're still paying the same input prices. Your feed, your hay, your pharmaceuticals is all still relatively similar to what it was a year ago, but you're looking at your prices for your beef are declining, so that profit margin just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Just oftentimes can squeeze out the smaller guys who they can't handle the ebb and flow. With farming, you've got to be able to save on the good years and use that to get you through the bad years. And unfortunately for some beef farmers, when the tariffs hit and the beef prices really took a hit, that was too much for them to endure.
Yeah, definitely a hard time for a lot of people. So, Lee, you have another question for Darilyn?
Oh, yeah. So, for those of you unaware, National FFA cites a lack of qualified ag educators as the number one obstacle that ag education faced in the public school system. So, I guess my question for you is, as a first-year ag educator, how do you feel about where public education and ag education within the public school system is going to change from now until the future?
Well, once again, going back to Kentucky hasn't solved the shortage quite just yet like it is on a national basis. It's trickling up on us. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because every year it's getting more and more where we have positions open, but are we going to have enough ag teachers to fill them in Kentucky? I think that the ag educators at the universities in the state of Kentucky are doing all they can to recruit people, and I've seen that, especially I graduated from the University of Kentucky, and I know Dr. Vinson, Dr. Epps, and Dr. Rice there, I've seen that the program has really grown, and I think it all goes back to getting people on that high school level more interested in going into the agriculture education field. Like I said, even if they did go in the ag ed field and felt like, I don't want to teach, they still have an ag job out there for them. But if they go in the ag ed field, get that teaching certificate, then they could go back and eventually teach one day. It's just a problem that's been hitting ag teachers all across the nation, and I think that states are going back and they're really thinking about what they can do, because I think ag ed is really needed in the public school systems because more and more kids today don't know where their food comes from. Like Spencer County is kind of a suburb to Louisville, and a lot of the kids, like in my freshman class, we did a beef cattle unit, and they had no idea that there was a difference between beef cattle and dairy cattle. And I mean, Taylorsville's still pretty rural, and you still have your kids that are from the farms, and it's like half and half in the classes. And I think that ag ed is very important for those kids, because if they don't know where their food comes from, if they just see a post up on Facebook about GMOs are going to kill you and all this stuff, but they don't have that education behind it. So it's needed, and I hope there's a problem that can fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that, ag education is really important, in our school systems. And as we start to urbanize and people are moving away from the farms and moving into more city environments, it's important to stay educated about, where our food comes from, our clothing, everything that we do.
Yeah, so just to inspire those young viewers that are watching, is there anything you want to say that can encourage them to maybe help advocate for agriculture and maybe become an ag teacher one day themselves?
Know your facts. I highly encourage you, even if you're just a middle schooler, elementary schooler, get involved with 4-H. Just take one ag class. If it's Intro to Ag, Floral Design, get involved with something, because you can really learn something about the agriculture industry. And don't just see everything you on social media. Don't take it to heart and believe it, because there's a lot of people out here that don't know the agriculture industry, and sometimes us agriculturalists don't do the best job of getting the true ag facts out there on social media. So please don't read everything you see, and talk to an agriculturalist or an ag teacher, 4-H agent, extension agent. There's plenty of people in the community that you can talk to get true ag facts.
Yeah, definitely start to get involved. I had no idea anything about agriculture coming into high school. I'd never lived on a farm. I'd never owned any livestock. All I had was a dog and a cat. And so definitely when I came into high school, it just was eye-opening to see these vast amount of opportunities there are in agriculture and see how much it affects every single person every single day. So
you don't have to grow up on a farm to be a part of 4-H or FFA. You can.
No.
There's tons of different things in the organization that is for you.
Mm-hmm. Anything you want to do can be related back to agriculture. So just try to get involved in any way you can.
You'll be naked and hungry without it, and homeless.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming on here to interview.
Yeah.
We just are so grateful to have you all here. And is there anything else y'all would like to say to our viewers before you guys sign off?
No.
No? Okay.
Nothing at all.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Happy
having
New
us.
Year.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. This is going to be our last episode of 2018. So
We just want to talk about just the goals we have going into 2019. We hopefully will make this podcast bigger, have different segments going on here. I think in January we're going to try to go to Indiana and do a tour of the FFA archives in Indiana University.
I'm really excited.
So that's going to be a big one for us. We're just going into different
FFA nerd.
so just going into different aspects of FFA and agriculture. So hopefully branching out in 2019, making a lot of new connections, and just a big goal to grow this podcast.
Yeah, and hopefully getting the videos out on a more consistent schedule. We've kind of been all over the place with the holidays around, and hopefully we can just put out a video hopefully every week, you think?
Probably,
that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
And just hopefully grow together.
Yeah, we want to thank you all so much for sticking with us within the past 2 episodes. We've gotten so many views, and we're so happy for the support that y'all have given us. Okay, well, with that, y'all have a great new year, and thank you all so much. See y'all.